So here we are. We are now talking about Mashiach. And this is the final chapter in this Maamar. The Maamar is a Maamar from Taf Reish Pei Tes. Excuse me. Taf Reish Pei Tes, which can be translated as 1939. It's talking about Shavuos. So in this, by the previous Rebbe, in this Maamar, the previous Rebbe, in this Hasidic discourse, the previous Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak, explains to us a very interesting thing about the giving of the Torah. The giving of the Torah contained in it all of the revelations that will be to the world and to the Jewish people for all time. And that's really the name of the game, if you want to call it. That's really the essence of Judaism, is revelations. Hashem wants to reveal himself to the whole world. That's what he did when he gave the Torah. He revealed himself. Hashem was revealed in the world. And also that was what it was in Gan Eden before Adam sinned. God revealed himself in the whole world. God's revelation. That's called the uniting of God's Shekhinah with God himself. So as you feel the Creator. You can feel that the Creator of the world. You feel that you are not a separate being from the Creator. That a Creator is creating you every instant. You feel it. And you feel even more that there's a reason why you're here. It's not just the thing you think. Everyone will feel the reason, and they'll feel that the reason is in order to fulfill the Torah. This is a very major thing. And everyone will feel it. Not only will everybody feel it, people will also integrate it in their personalities. They'll understand it the same way now as you feel that you exist, or I feel that I exist, and I understand that I exist, and I understand what the implications are. I know where my house is, and I know where the refrigerator is exactly, and I know what to do when the phone rings and what to answer, because I know who I am. I know and I understand who I am. Is that in the future, people will know and feel what God is. And they'll feel that God is more real than I. We'll still feel the same feeling of ourselves, but we'll feel more, something even more real than ourselves, namely our Creator who's creating us. So that's going to be revealed by means of the Mashiach, the Messiah, that he's going to reveal the inside, true inside meaning of each and every one of the commandments. Why Mashiach? Because it says Mashiach is going to come from this tremendously aroused, this tremendously high level in everybody's soul. What is this level? The level is called Yechidah. So let's take this from here. Perish Ramaz, we did this yesterday, but let's do it over. Perish Ramaz, Shehem, that they are neged, corresponding to Hey. Last word in line is Hey. Hey Madrigot, 10 levels, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chaya, Yechidah. You see where we are, Baruch? Chai Yechid, it's way up there. It's like 10 lines from the top of the page. The first word in line is Medregos. You have it? Yes. The David HaMelech, Alav Shalom, the David HaMelech of blessed, upon him be peace, Zacha, merited, Lebechina, to the level of Nefesh. Ukamoshe Katuv, like it says, Nefesh David. Eliyahu, Elijah the prophet, Zacha, he merited to the level of Ruach. Ruach, Lochein, therefore, Lochein, therefore, Allah, he went up, Besara, in a Ruach, in a spirit, in a wind, a storm, Hashamayma, in heaven. Interesting, all these people, it says that they never died. David Melech Chai V'Kayam, says David Melech Israel, Chai V'Kayam. David Melech Israel, it says David lives forever. Elijah the prophet, it says clearly that he never died. That he just went up in heaven in a chariot and a fiery. Moses, it says in the Gemara also, I think it's, or is it in Sota, I think, in the Gemara Sota, it says that Moshe Rabbeinu Lomei, it says Moses never died. On Har Sinai didn't die. And Adam Rishon, it says that he died. Adam, where is this? Adam was the level of Yechidah. Adam Rishon Zocha merited Chaya. The Adam Rishon, the beginning of the line. Adam Rishon, and the first man Zocha merited Lechaya, to the level of Chaya. And Mashiach will merit Yizkeh, he will merit, or he will, how do you say, purify, reveal in this world Yechida, the level of Yechida. Okay, then what is this level of Yechida? There's a very interesting pamphlet. You can read it in the library. We have it in the library. It's called On the Understanding of Torah Chasidut. On the understanding. And there the Rebbe explains what Yechida is of the soul. How it's like oil. How it's like the oil of the soul, that it floats on top of everything. Nevertheless, it permeates everything. Loche, and therefore, hine, behold, who it, Davka, specifically, only this level of Yechida, which will be revealed by Mashiach, the Mashiach only, Yilmod will teach Torah, Das will teach awareness of God, knowledge, Lelechet, to go, B'darki Hashem, in the ways of God. It was Mashiach, because Mashiach is going to arouse this level, like you have in the Lahavdil, a million separations, separate Napoleon. All of a sudden woke up in everybody this, craze for liberty, fraternity, equality, how France is going to be the superior race and we're going to take over the world and everything. All of a sudden everybody was just crazy. They just, without Napoleon, they could care less. Suddenly came one man, Napoleon, throw the whole world into this bloodbath of freedom and equality and liberty, everything like that. He just woke up everybody's souls that they felt. We must go, and when there's other dictators not lacking, leaders. As the Mashiach is going to be the opposite way. He's going to wake up everybody's soul for good, for building, for doing what the Creator wants, to create, to make a good world. He will reveal the new ways of God, kamo, as she'em, they are, the penimius of Torah, inside of the Torah. She'em, that they are, darachim chadashim, that these will be new ways to do the commandments. New ways, not that we'll do the commandments differently, but the way that we do them will be different. Shahaya, and these ways will be mechusim, covered, v'ne'elam, and hidden, gam mi Moshe Rabbeinu, even from Moshe Rabbeinu. There's this thing called, what is it called? I don't even know. I don't know if I ever said the word memoralia. Memorabilia, maybe. Memorabilia. That's what it said. Memorabilia.
Little souvenirs from the past.
Right, little souvenirs from the past. Right. This, you see this fountain pen. You have a fountain pen? Yeah, sure, a fountain pen. It's a fountain pen. Thanks a lot for the fountain. You know what that fountain pen was? No, that fountain pen was actually owned by Elvis Presley. Really? Really? Can I touch it again? Can I? Elvis, I loved Elvis. Oh, I remember. Oh, this is just so pleased. Let me touch it again, right? What's the big deal? It was the same pen. You touched the same pen. No, this was Elvis's, the king. This was him, the man. What's the big deal? This thing on the marketplace is worth $2 million. Do you know that? He says, $2 million. What do I care? I'm a multimillionaire. I have all sorts of things. Here, if you want, here I have his buckle. Right? What's the big deal? It's a buckle. When you know that this thing belonged to, right? People go berserk, and they'll pay $2 million, $50 million. What's that? Small money, right? For this thing, they'll pay. This is it. This is the one that he wore for 3 minutes when he appeared on the Ed Sullivan show or something like that. This was it, right? His first appearance. They go crazy. Lahavdil, to separate a million separations. When you do a commandment nowadays, you do a commandment. It's Judaism. You know who this commandment is what? You know who put on these tefillin were? No. These tefillin were actually owned by the Rambam. He put on the tefillin. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's interesting. The Rambam. So it's the Rambam's tefillin. We don't appreciate godliness. We don't appreciate it. Right? A person who's really a tzaddik or something, this is the Rambam's, let me put them on, let me just touch them. Right? A person that really had appreciation, he would appreciate it. Even more, you know the tefillin that you put on? They belong to God. God himself. Rambam's whole life was only thinking about God. God was more valuable to Rambam. 1 billion times than Elvis Presley's buckle, Lavdil, right? People go berserk over the buckle, or his fountain pen, right? And Rambam was going crazy over Hashem. And these tefillin that you're putting on every morning, they belong to Hashem. Do you appreciate that? Oh, yes, I certainly do. Oh, whoa, this is really special, isn't it? We don't feel it, right? We don't feel nothing. We feel a little bit. You feel if you think about it. You really think and you really meditate. Okay, but we know what Hashem is. We know what God is. We know. Right? Here. Hey, you can give me my tefillin. Give me the tefillin bag. Wonderful. Thank you for coming. Oh. Yeah. It says that's what it's going to be. We're going to really feel Hashem. We'll feel God. And every commandment we do will be tremendous. You can throw that away. It will be tremendously valuable and it's exciting to us. Now it can also be exciting to you, right? If you really think about God. Or there's another way. You can just act. You can act like it's exciting, right? Act like it's exciting. But that's not Chassidut, right? Chassidut doesn't want you to... It's not bad, don't overdo it. A little bit. A little bit you can act. But you have to know you're acting, right? It's better to get excited about tefillin in a false way than to get excited about your iPad in a real way. Right? To get excited about whatever it is, a movie, the monster that devoured Cleveland or something, right? Here's they said, this is it. I'm going to stay up all night to watch this thing, right? I can't get any reception. What's wrong with this thing? No reception. That really bothers you, right? You don't find your tefillin, you're a little bit bothered. Yeah, it's not, right? A little bit bothered. But tefillin should be such an exciting thing. They say that the Ramban, what they call Nachmanides, that they used to have to hold him up when he put on his tefillin. It was such a tremendous experience that he was actually putting on tefillin of Hashem, that they had to hold him up. He really felt, something. Like the person feels, this thing belonged to your grandfather. My grandfather loved my grandfather. This belonged to him. Right? It's not the same thing people feel. Hashem, but the difference is your grandfather is not alive anymore. Hashem is alive. Hashem is enlivening you. He's creating you. When you feel this, it's a whole different world. Do we feel it? Not really, but we can talk about it. We can sort of feel it, a little bit. But it's totally nothing compared to what's going to be in the days of the Mashiach. So, behold, yes. Okay. Okay, first word on the line is ne'elam. It is 13 lines from the top of the page. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 14 lines from the top of the page. Tehine, okay, 4 words in. Hine, behold, Omer is all the rabbis say. In the Gemara Rosh Hashanah, Tav Chaf Aleph Amud Beis, 50. Sha'arei gates, bina of understanding. 50 gates of understanding. Nivra'u were created ba'olam in the world. 50 gates of understanding. What does it mean, 50 gates of understanding? 50 gates of understanding God. Each one is higher than the other one. A different dimension. You can understand things that all of a sudden you understand, like a little child. A little child understands the world, a very small world. All he cares about is his little stick or his little marble or something like that. He gets a little bit bigger. He gets a bigger understanding of the world. Bigger understanding. He gets older, even a bigger understanding of the world. And a bigger understanding. Until finally a person gets to be 15, 16, 20 years old. The world, he gets maybe a little more business sense, a little more... Right? But what about understanding God? There's people that are 70 years old, big professors, they understand... They have an appreciation of God exactly like a stone, exactly like a child that's 1 year old. Absolutely zero. They don't believe it. It doesn't exist. Nothing whatsoever. A person who makes a little bit of an effort, suddenly he starts to realize, hey, God is not just something in the books. It's not just this religious idea. God is really creating the world. God is really directing everything in the world. God really cares about everything in the world. God answers prayers. God provides food for everybody. We see it in davening. Who will zon for neistakol? You provide food for everything. So then you start to realize that maybe God is much more important and real than me or any other religion say. Maybe the message of Judaism is a totally different message than any other religion or idea or philosophy has. We're talking about putting ultimate, infinite meaning in every little detail of the world. God's creating everything. Everything is being created. It says to understand this and to feel it, says there's gates. A person passes through another gate. Oh, becomes more real to him. Oh, now I understand. Thing becomes more real. It becomes less of an idea and more of a reality. He understands it. Kulam, and all of them, all these 50 gates of understanding, Nitna, were given to Moshe. All these 50 gates of understanding God were given to Moses, Chaser Echad, except for one, missing one. Shene'emar, like it says, V'tachasrehu, that he was lacking, me'at, a little bit, me'elokim, from God. V'tachasrehu me'at me'elokim. That Moses was missing a little bit from ultimate awareness of God. Hainu, namely, the mem test that the 49 sharim gates nitnu lo were given to him. Aval but shar hanun, the 50th gate, lo nidgaleh, was not revealed lo to him. Ubabiyas HaMashiach, and the coming of the Mashiach, Yitgaleh, will be revealed, Shar Hanun, the 50th gate. That's what it says in the prophet Isaiah. It's right in the end of the Rambam. The world will be filled with the knowledge of God. Just like now the world is filled with the knowledge of egotism, that everybody feels themselves. And if you give a person a little more, like in America, there's a little more freedom of yourself. You can do what I want. I think and I want. Your I is going to be more free. You can do whatever I want. The only thing is don't mess around with somebody else's I, right? You have 2 consulting adults, 50,000 consulting adults. Everyone is consulting you, right? Everybody agrees. You agree. It's good. If everyone agrees, it makes you feel good. That's good. That's the definition of good. That's the definition of good. That the I will be filled. That's what everybody in the world feels. The I, egotism. Oh, it's for ego. That's good. It's a good thing. In the future, it's not going to be that way. In the future, people are going to realize that what I want and what I feel and what I think is not necessarily the measure of good. Not necessarily. Why? Because nowadays people only feel their I. In the future, people won't feel the I so much. They'll feel Hashem. Right? Just like Lahavdil, like I said before, when Napoleon came along, when Stalin came along, Yamach Shemo, all these people, Hitler came along, all of a sudden, all the French or the Russians, the Germans, they didn't care about themselves or their pleasures or anything. All they thought about was conquering the world, winning everything. Right? They didn't care about their families or about their nothing. Right? They kissed their wives goodbye and went into war. No problem. What happened? All of a sudden they forgot about their egos. What happened? No, they saw a bigger picture, the greater Germany, this. Right? They felt a bigger thing. Lahavdil, so we see how weak a thing ego can be. Weak a thing, right? Person wants this, he gets in a fight, somebody said a bad word to him, you said this thing to me. All of a sudden comes a war, you don't care what people say to you, nothing whatsoever. All I want is my gun and kill all of the other, whatever, the enemy, whoever they are. Right? I don't care if I get killed. I'm going to kill them all. I'll come back with a medal. Right? If I come back at all. Right? The main thing is I want to fight. What? You want to fight? Fritz, you were the nicest guy in the world. You used to be, right? We used to play tennis. Forget tennis. Oh, you're Jewish, right? We used to play tennis. We used to be partners in business. You used to help me out. Take this bullet in your head. Boom. Kill you. You're a Jew. Right? The worst thing, what happened? I don't understand. What happened? Everything just changed in one day. Right? Yeah. Yes, now it's different. Now I'm not the leader anymore. The leader, the Führer, he's the leader. He tells me what to do. He tells me, this is the real. What happened to all your ego and everything? Right? No, I have no ego. It's only him. That's all. He's the what happened? Right? Doesn't make. But what's really the truth? The fact of the matter is there's one thing that's really true. Your ego really is very weak and very stupid. It's a very, how do you say, tenuous reality. Right? You base your whole life on just your ego, my house, my this. The whole thing is nothing. It comes along, a Stalin is the whole thing is gone. Right? You don't even care about it. So you see that your ego, it's no big deal. Right? It's not such a big. You see the the thieves, robbers, they go to the thief, all of a sudden they turn on the light, the police are around, oh, they're the nicest guy in the world. Oh, they just changed, they're not robbers anymore, they're just, what, how did I get here in the middle of the bank? This is just the nicest people, right? The nicest people, before they would kill you, no problem. As soon as you pull out a gun, the guy's whole personality changes, right? He becomes genuinely, really nice person, he really... Right? You see that the egotism is such a weak little thing. Why is it ego? Why is it weak? Because it's really a creation. God is just creating it. Don't try to make it into the creator. Don't try to make yourself into the king of the universe. You're not the king of the universe. And if you try to make yourself the king of the universe, there's going to come some faker, and he's going to convince you that he's the king of the universe. So therefore, in the future, what's going to be the truth? Truth will be revealed. People actually start to feel Hashem. They'll feel the reality. That's going to be what's called the 50th gate. The 50th gate of understanding. People will understand their mistakes. People will understand how weak a thing egotism is. But it's a very precious thing. We can use our egotism in order to make the world a better place. All we are is creations. But on the other hand, who's creating us? God himself is creating each and every one of us. If so, everybody must be very special. Right? Special in God's eyes. In our own eyes, right, we think we're special, but we're really, if you think about it a second, you're really not special. If you go according to your standards. But if you go according to God's standards, you're very special. You can do a commandment. You can help people. You can make a blessing. You can make a prayer. You can change the whole world. Says, this is the 50th gate of understanding life completely differently. Even Moses didn't have it. That's one of the reasons why Moses did not succeed in convincing everybody not to worship the golden calf, to do all the other things. He didn't have the insight to change the Yetzer Horas of everybody, the evil impulses of everybody. Then this 50th gate, who is what? Sheyilmod will teach. Melech HaMashiach, what the Melech HaMashiach will teach at Bnei Adam, the people. Lalechet, to go, B'darkei Hashem, in the ways of God. Al Pi, according to Seder Avoda, the order of service of God, the Pirush HaChadash, of the new explanation in the Torah. And what is this new explanation of the Torah? The Torah won't be any different, but people will be different. Vehem, and they are, Dorachim Chadashim, these are the new ways. Habilti Yaduim, which are not known, lanu, to us. These are new ways which are not known to us. The Ofan Alimud, and the way, like there's a very interesting thing that says in the Arizal that any rabbi that does not know Kabbalah, that doesn't know, at least he has, maybe you don't feel Hashem 100%, but at least you know that God is not just some big man sitting up in the sky. Right? At least you know that God is not just another one of the biblical figures. You know, he's not another character in this thing called the Bible. If a person doesn't learn some sort of Kabbalah or inside of the Torah, then he thinks that God is real and I'm also real. Right? God and me are two separate things. God is like Abraham was separate from God. Abraham talked to God. Means that Abraham was separate from God, right? That's a simple meaning. When you start to learn a little bit of ideas of Kabbalah, you realize that it's not simple like that. It's not so simple. It seems like that from the outside, but the inside is not so. He says that's what the Melech HaMashiach is going to do. He's going to teach everybody to look at the world differently, to look at the Torah, to feel the Torah differently. He's going to teach everyone a whole new way of feeling the Torah, the Ofan Halimud, and the way he will teach them, will be b'midregat, in a level of hariyah, seeing. What does it mean, seeing? That we'll be able to see the godliness inside of everything. Kamo, like bagashmis, in the physical world. Hine, behold, bariya, in seeing, sha'adam ro'eh, when a person sees, hare, behold, lavad zot, beside the fact, she'ro'eh, that he sees, etzem, mahut, the essential being, hadavar, of the thing. Right, if I tell you, here, you bought a new car, here's your new car. The guy says, I don't see anything. Here it is, can't you see? I don't see, I don't know what you're talking about. No, okay, it's not, it's in the garage. It's in the garage, but the garage will open up in just a couple of minutes. You just take the keys. I got to go somewhere. Hey, don't go. You took my money. I want to see that car. I want to see the car. No, the car's here. We believe each other. It's right in the garage. It's got a time lock on it, and I got to go. I got to catch a train, so I'll see you around. No, I want to see the car. I want to see it. Right? Doesn't work. It's not going to help. The guy brings his sons, holds onto him. Oh, the garage opens up. Here it is. It's the car. 1 second. That's not the car that I bought. I bought a Rolls Royce. $50,000. This is a 1923 Ford. Right? The thing doesn't even work. This is not the same thing. I'm not seeing it. No. I'm sorry. You're right. Wow. I'm sorry. It's the next door neighbor. Next door. Got to go next door. That's where the car is. Oh, you're right. Here it is. I'm sorry. I doubt. You were right because you didn't see it. When you see something, it's totally different. So it's the same thing now. We learn about God. We talk about God. We think about God. We don't see Him. We don't see it. We don't know what it is. Like it's He's in a garage. It's closed up. You'll see it when Mashiach comes. But right now, I got to go. Excuse me. No. 1 second. That's the way it goes. Right? We see God. It says that's what's going to be. The Mashiach is going to bring this level of Riyah. He's going to teach us how we can actually see God. Now, you have to understand something. What does it mean to see? What does it mean to see? Let's take an example. A person, I'll give you an example. A person gets $1 million, right? $1 million, but he thinks that it's counterfeit money. Does he get excited? Doesn't he get excited? He has the money. He's looking and see it. I don't know if this is really real or not, right? This is $100 bills. Whose picture is on $100 bills? Picture on $100 was it Benjamin Franklin? He says, well, this is not Benjamin Franklin's picture. This is somebody. This is a picture of who? Of somebody else, right? This is not Benjamin Franklin's picture. This is a picture of Batman. This is not $100. This is not a $100 bill. Something's wrong here, right? So, no, they changed. Didn't you hear? They changed, and people got tired of Benjamin Franklin, and they wanted to put a picture of. Are you sure of this? Right? You look here. It says in the newspapers. You get the newspaper, but this newspaper is also not real. Something's wrong over here. What does it mean seeing? You see the thing, there it is, but you think it's not real. There's something wrong, right? Something a person meets his grandfather. They bring his grandfather. He hasn't seen his grandfather for 50 years. His grandfather was in the concentration camps, and they bring him, and you can see the guy, but I don't know. This is my grandfather. You sure this is him, right? Ask him a few questions. No, this is not my grandfather. Right? What does your name used to be? Until finally you understand this is it. No, you didn't see anything differently. This is the same thing you saw. This is right. This is what you saw. But when you understand, when you recognize it, then you become more excited. My grandfather, wow, grandpa! He starts crying. He's hugging him. Right? It's a big thing. He says, but he didn't see with his eyes anything differently. Right? But now he sees it. If his grandfather wasn't sitting there, if it would have said, in the next room, we have your grandfather. This is him. He says his voice is this, everything. It's still not as exciting as when he sees him. But seeing has to be two things. First of all, you see and you recognize. The same thing is with God. Hashem, God is really everywhere, especially in Torah and mitzvahs. He's there. Do you see it? Not you hear about it. Shema Yisrael. We can hear. But do we see? We don't see. Mashiach will make it so that we see, we recognize godliness in everything. Then we'll really get excited. What does it mean, this level of seeing? Here it says, it's like in the physical world. Hine, behold, Bariya. First word in line is Riyah. You with me, Avi? Bariya, in seeing, Sha'adam ro'eh, that a person sees. Hare, behold, Lavad zot, beside the fact, Shero'eh, that he sees. Atzim, the essence, Mahut, of the being. Hadavar, of a thing, when he sees it. Harizeh, behold, Ma shero'eh, that what he sees. Barega, in a minute, Echad, in 1 minute. Hine, behold. Im tzorich, if it was necessary, l'saper zot, to talk about this, to relate this, bedibur, in speech, tzorich, it would be necessary, al zeh, on this, zman, a time, sha'a, of an hour, biyoter or more. Right? A person who has a good memory and a good sense of, description. They have the previous Rebbe was very great at this. You could see things in 10 seconds, right? Just sit and watch it. Look at this, a picture. see a picture in a museum, see a picture for 1 minute, and you can talk about the picture for an hour, 2 hours. About the balance and the color and the depth and the meaning and the emotions that it evoked in me and the feelings that I felt when I saw this, right? The memories that I this, and for sure, and then you understand what he was probably thinking, what age it was, what year it was written. The picture was in the 1500s, right? A Rembrandt picture. You can see the light is coming from here. A person who's an expert in art, like an art teacher, art major, they can talk about a picture, right? A picture from the great artists. They can talk for a week about one picture. What surrounded it and what the meaning of this. Somebody once told me, I'll just give you an example. Rembrandt, a guy was here who was an artist. He said Rembrandt was, ever see pictures of Rembrandt? Yeah. Rembrandt is like super, what's it called? Accurate. There's a word for it. I can't forget the word is in English. Realistic. Realism. There's the drawings of pictures. He said Rembrandt was not real. Rembrandt was one of the most impressionistic painters that there was. What's impressionistic? The impression that it gives you. In other words, that what he drew was just cubes of light.
But usually first he was more realistic, and then his later...
Could be. I'm not really an expert on it. I'm just telling you that's what he told me. That it's just cubes of light. I was in Amsterdam, and we went. The only sort of normal thing we saw was actually there was the pictures. We went to the art museum. My wife wanted, so we went to there, and there was a Rembrandt picture. There was some pictures you could stand for a long time. You can't see where the light is coming from. It's like the light is coming from inside of the picture. Usually this light is natural. You see it's coming from a window. Here things are lit up in some sort of unusual way. You see in the expressions on people's faces and the relations from one to the other. So he explained, no, that really Rembrandt was not realistic painter at all. That everything he did was just impressionistic. Like the impressionists, Monet and what is it? What's the guy's name? I can't remember. Renoir and these people, all these guys. Cézanne. They have these pictures. I learned a little bit about this stuff. They drew just like little cubes of light or blocks of color or blocks just to give you an impression. But if you look closely at the picture, right, you see that it's not a picture at all. It's just like little dots, a little picture, right? You look like even Van Gogh. Van Gogh was an impressionist, I think. Anyway, Van Gogh, he's just little dots and little slashes and little this. You look at it closely, you stand back, you see it's a field with a sunset and a person reaping. You see a whole different thing. It's the same thing. You look at a picture 1 minute, and you can talk about it for hours. You can talk about it for hours. You can see a person. You can write a book about a person. Just seeing the person one time, what he probably went through, all the imaginations that come through. The way his eyes looked, the way his face looked, the way he held himself. Says, here's a better example. Kenu baruchne, so it is in spiritually. Ukaha, and like this. See, first word of the line is baruchne. So it is spirit.